What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another Dragon Ball Legends video. Today we're going to go ahead and talk about most of what should be the top teams for the upcoming Extreme Only Legends Battle Royale event coming into the game. Hope you guys enjoy, of course. If you are new, hit that subscribe, of course, for more content. Let's go ahead and jump into it. So first thing I want to point out is that if you have not seen the video where I talked about a lot of the best Extreme characters individually, a lot of them make it into this video, some of them do not. Some of them are honorable mentions, which I'll get to at a point. But if you haven't seen that, you're going to want to check that out. Link will be down below, and then come back to this one, of course. So I want to also kind of start off by mentioning a couple of things. So I don't know, we don't know yet, right, if the Legends Battle Royale event will be literally Extreme only. And what I mean by that is where you can take in 3 Extreme characters as battle members, but still use Hero if you want to, or Sparking characters as the other 3 characters just to get those Z abilities. I'm going to go out on a limb and assume, because it's probably going to be the case, that your entire team is locked to Extreme only. So that'll be really, really cool. It's going to add for some more diversity. And also, just in general, you know, it's going to help with allowing for those characters to be used more often a little bit, right? So a couple of things you need to know about the Legends Battle Royale event. You will need to get your characters at least to level 2,000 to unlock all of the equipment slots. So if you have a character that's level 300, any character you own, whether it's 300, 2,000, 3,000, whatever, will all be boosted to max soul boost, as if you had everything done. They will all be max level, which is currently 3,000, and they will all be max starred, meaning 7 stars, meaning that they'll have their absolute best Z ability. You get the best version of those characters, but if you do not have them to at least, it's 1,500 or 2,000, whatever one it is, where you get that 3rd equipment slot. If you don't have them there, you'll have a level like 3,000 character with 1 or 2 equipments. You have to at least get them there. You don't have to soul boost them or anything like that. But since we're going to have every character at 7-star, we're going to obviously factor that into today's video. So also, I do want to go ahead and mention this, but there are EX characters that are getting buffed, so let's go ahead and mention some of them here. So this Vegeta is going to get buffed. He is going to be, obviously he's going to get better, right, individually. But main thing I want to mention is that his Z ability does not increase, or not, it increases, but it does not pick up any sort of tag or anything like that. He will stay yellow specific. We come here, this guy actually picks up Frieza Force, so being blue / Frieza Force. All right, we move on here, and we have this guy who's going to be purple / Lineage of Evil. We come up a little bit further. This guy stays purple only, and for the last EX, he stays green only. So these are all of the EX characters that should be getting buffed in the upcoming balance update tonight, actually, at the time of the recording, of course. So let's go ahead and take a look at one of the team options that I went ahead and highlighted. So this is a team option that's centered around Frieza Force / Lineage of Evil. So the way that this one works, I want to kind of go ahead and show you guys a little bit of it. When we look at the Frieza Force tag, currently, of course, prior to the actual update tonight, right, there are only a few EX-specific characters that really do buff this tag. So Dodoria here is a strike attack booster, Zarbon is a blast attack booster, and the yellow pod Frieza is blast attack and blast defense. At 7-star, their numbers will be quite high. I'm not going to pull up every unit's numbers, but their numbers go to 35%, so going to be quite good. So I'm expecting the 2 Friezas in the middle to be quite good after this. And then at the very bottom, you look at that. I have it sorted to where it shows, and by the way, if you don't know this, you can type in filter and type in whatever you want, and it'll actually sort it. But I have it sorted to where it's showing the EX characters that are Lineage of Evil and Frieza Force. So the Nappa, the Raditz, they're not going to be used. Frost would be decent, I guess, right? But I wouldn't say you really would need him either. Zarbon did not make it onto my team because I opted for EX Chilled, who's actually a really, really good unit. And on this setup, EX Chilled will have access to a couple of buffs, 3 buffs to be specific, right? So he's going to be able to do enough, right? And then other than that, the Frieza units are mainly going to carry with this setup. Again, I'm assuming that the 2 middle Friezas are going to be pretty good, and they'll be main battle members. And you can even go with those 2 and Yellow Vegeta, and then drop the EX Chilled for somebody else like Zarbon, and you'd be fine. Or another Saiyan support, I guess, right? So, again, EX only. That's all I'm listing here. There are other characters that could be good. But, again, on the assumption that those 3 buffed characters will be good. And, of course, their ability bonus, don't worry about that for this because they don't have equips, stuff like that does manipulate that. And then also, some of them don't have their full-on Z abilities, right? So the 2 in the middle are still just blue and purple, respectively. We go ahead and take a look at another example that I want to go ahead and put out. So we have a Saiyan setup. So I have it set to show all of the Saiyan EX cards in the game. Now, Saiyans literally have just enough fuel to kind of make it by. And if you look at the Saiyan cards as well, when you look at this group of characters, the best, most optimized trio, in my opinion, of battle members would be the top 3. Of course, they work very, very well together. And of course, if you have the units, you do have to own the units. I didn't mention this earlier, but you do have to own the units, right? So if you have the units, you're in a very good position. Like, Fasha is one of the better ones because when she's defeated, you get bonus damage for both your allies, and just they work out very, very well. I would say that Bardock at this point probably wants a buff, but other than that, this trio should work pretty well. And then the rest of the Saiyan units, coincidentally, don't even buff the Saiyan tag. They're all basically mono or like Super Saiyans. I believe this guy is a Champa arc character, and then Snappa, who's there as well, who just, I guess, if you want bonus damage. But like with this setup, let me go ahead and explain the Saiyan tag. So we have Tora, who's blast attack and defense. We're going to look at his 7-star maximum. Actually, it's going to be right here, which is 23% to blast attack and defense. So actually one of the better Saiyan boosters post 5-star anyway, just because of the double buff. There's only a handful of cards that can do that for the Saiyan class. We have Vegeta here, who is just a blast attack booster. 28% is what you will be getting. Fasha actually only buffs female warriors until 5-star. Again, all your units will be 7, so it doesn't matter. She's 37% to strike defense. That's a lot of strike defense. So all the units there buff. You have strike attack here. You have HP. So you have all the major stats being buffed. And then you have one stingy guy on the team who's going to basically siphon it all, and that's Bardock, who only buffs yellow. So he's going to be getting strike attack and defense even further at a 23% clip. And he's a good unit, defense type. He is able to do a little bit of offense from the blast-based things and also from strike-based things. Can heal via main ability and via green card, so he's got some very good longevity. So he's going to work pretty well in that trio, and I think that that trio could be quite optimized, right? We're going to go ahead and take a look at another team here. So this is where I start kind of listing some honorable mentions, because I didn't want to have like 15 teams, because I don't know if there's 15, but there's probably closer to at least 10 teams that will be viable and be things that you guys probably will see, right? And the honorable mentions would go out to some of the characters that are just mono-based, right? We look at the blue color, just in general. Blue color has a lot of very, very good Z abilities, some of which are double boosters and stuff like that. Yellow, specifically, even on this page, we have this TN, who's, I believe, strike attack and defense. The Trunks, who's blast attack and blast defense. Strike attack and defense on the Bardock we just looked at. Strike attack and defense on Android 16. We have HP and HP recovery on Piccolo. So, like, there are going to be monocolor teams running around. That's just how it is. And, you know, monocolors might be quite good. I'm going to say they're going to be quite good because they're going to be probably the teams that get the most overall buffs, right? And then also there are going to be subsets of those teams. They're going to be teams that feature a color counter. So, like, right here, we have a green/yellow team. So the way that this team works is actually pretty interesting. So you just bring the top 3. Again, on the assumption that Turles is quite good afterwards. Turles is a double defense booster. Those numbers should go up post-buff as well. Janemba at 7-star is going to be pretty interesting, too. We take a look at Janemba. So Janemba actually outright only buffs the green element by strike attack, right? At 7-star, he buffs green and Sagas from the movie strike attack. So he'll be boosting his own strike at that point, and he'll be boosting the Turles as well. So you might be wondering, well, okay, that's fine. That's a solid core, right? So we have Turles again, who's strike and blast defense. Also, you could really, for this setup, look into some Sagas from the movie stuff if you would like to. There are Sagas from the movie bench boosters as well, right? So EX characters, Cooler would be solid, Thouser, yada yada. But other than that, we take a look at the last green character that was on this team. That was GT Trunks. So GT Trunks, upon switch into an ally, boosts their blast damage inflicted. And then when he is KO'd, he boosts their overall blast damage as well. And if they are a GT or Hybrid Saiyan, they do actually do more overall damage. So unfortunately, you're not going to be able to cheese that part of it with this setup, but don't sleep on GT Trunks winding up on any sort of like hybrid Saiyan type team. That's a very good option as well for this character, because again, he'll be at 7-star, but he'll have that hybrid Saiyan buff at 35%. So don't sleep on that too, and that'll be where you'll get the most out of this guy. And then when he switches out, you get key recovery. So you have a scenario where Janemba's going to be doing quite well. You have a green battle member, a couple of green battle members that'll do very well as well. And then, of course, if you would like to, you have Yamcha, who's going to actually be very, very good. I have Yamcha, I believe, on the bench for the double boosting strike and blast attack, right? That's nuts. We also do take a look at some of what else he can do. Overall, special move arts power goes up. 50% own damage to self-destruct isn't relevant in this, I would say. Bonus strike damage as well, which is going to pair very nicely with Janemba. So stuff like that you have access to. So with the way I built this one, it was a little bit of a combination because Turles doesn't really care a whole lot. He can do a little bit of both, but he's mainly a blast unit, right? So he also does damage, bonus damage to Super Warrior. I guess if you run into some of these guys, there are some of them that'd be viable. Red Tien, Yellow Piccolo, I guess. Krillin a little bit, I'd say. Yamcha too, I mentioned him. So Turles would be a good option. Again, just banking on him being even better post-buff. So again, there are going to be subsets like that. So here we go. We're looking at one of the more already optimized teams in the game. This would be one of the better teams to run, in my opinion, the Female Warriors. So Female Warriors are very, very good overall. And a couple of things that are going to happen is the Pan, she's going to pick up her 7-star Z ability, which I believe is like 23 or so % to strike, attack, and strike defense, which is, 23. I know my Female Warriors, which is going to be very good overall, right? Double buffers are king in this, I would say. They're going to be quite helpful. Speaking of double buffer, we have Bulma here, who's going to be blast, attack, and defense at similar ratio, 25%. So between those two units, you have all of the major stats gained as well. You have an HP booster, which not a lot of teams actually have access to. HP boosting Android 18. You have blast attack boosting at 35. You have 35%. What's the name? Mai here. So 35%. Also, don't sleep on Future. I don't have Future listed, but Future is also an option. Future does have a few units, not that many that are EX based, but they have a few that I would consider using. Again, there's some like these guys that are, you know, mono color or whatever. You can also run the Future units on a bench, I'd say, if you have Android 17 and 18, but that's a whole other thing. They're not on my list, the Future setup. So yeah, you have access to that. So double boosters there, blast attack. You have a very potent, I believe, 37% strike defense, 33% strike defense, or element purple. So do not sleep on the double boosting, right? Double boosting is nuts here because when you get to this point, you have a lot of flexibility. Like, for example, this character will be very good alongside a character like Roshi, who I'm going to talk about, coincidentally, in a little bit. So you have a lot of very, very powerful bonuses. Fasha already mentioned she's a very good defense booster as well, and you have more flexibility there. So overall, incredible setup that you have here. And you can obviously drop Fasha if you're looking for something else, like a blast defense booster in the purple pan. Up to you. All right, so speaking of Roshi, I mentioned him. So this is a fun setup. So it kind of does a lot of the same thing, but it's a little bit different. It's Female Warriors with a twist because Roshi actually becomes a main battle member. Him and Purple Videl, ideally, and then whoever else between Bulma or B-Pan you would want. Ideally, it's Bulma because Bulma's picking up a very potent buff here. So Roshi actually is a very good character for a couple of reasons with this setup. Again, the Z ability bonus will benefit him from the Videl, but if we take a look over here at Roshi, this man offers 35% to strike and blast attack for these characters. Oh, hey, Yellow Bulma gets that. Oh, hey, if you were really in a pinch, Demon King Piccolo has 4 Z ability bonuses, I believe, on this setup. He has his own, he has Tao's, he has Roshi's, and he would have access to the Videl as well for another defense boost. And he's also getting buffed. So this team actually has a lot of versatility. And Roshi, the reason why he's so good overall and always kind of was, is main ability boosts allies critical damage. You can use that almost immediately. We take a look at his unique abilities. The following effects occur when a female warrior is a battle member, plus 30% to damage inflicted, plus 40% to own key recovery, plus 40% to own crit rate. So crit rate and crit damage in conjunction, and also having the Tao Z ability, which is HP and crit as well, makes Roshi an absolute monster. And then he has other opportunities for buffs with the green card as well. Yeah, he's going to do pretty well here. So do not sleep on Roshi, especially on a setup like this where he has access to a lot of versatile buffs. So for the last thing, and by the way, if you've noticed, I haven't been good at changing my team's names just because I'm lazy. The last thing I want to mention is androids. Also, you have a flex option here. You can drop one of these units in favor of the blue cell or the yellow cell here. Either one works for the most part. But I'd say this would be probably the best setup, and a couple of reasons why. So all of the units here except for 16 do buff the entirety of this tag. So one thing that happens here is you have probably the most, the most well-optimized team in general. Female Warriors are right there, but this is definitely it. When you look at the double boosting is nuts here. Strike, attack, and defense, 35%. She should be blast attack and defense 35 as well, right? We come and take a look at some of these older ones. 19, 26% to blast attack and defense, 26% to strike attack and defense. Like this is a lot. This is a lot of boosts, right? To the point where it doesn't matter if Android 16 doesn't buff them directly, right? The yellow one, especially because he got buffed in the last patch update anyway, a few months back. You could, again, run this guy if you want a full Z ability bonus, 23%. He's not bad per se, but I wouldn't. He's not worth it to me. And if you really want a blue, this guy is actually pretty solid. Also has some anti-Saiyan, so you do pretty well in that matchup versus the Bardock team, I guess. You know, Saiyans honestly are probably the they're a sleeper option, I'd say, but I'd say they're probably the least probably most underwhelming setup because of the fact they don't have a lot of crazy good options or crazy double boosting or things like that. But yeah, you have access to a ton of stuff, and then 16 here is an insanely good buff bot on an Android team. Main ability, -10 to strike and blast arts. We come down here, unique ability, plus 30% to allies inflicted damage for 20 counts, and another 15% for allies inflicted damage if they're androids for 20 counts when defeated. So when he gets KO'd, they get almost 50% more damage. His green card even buffs their damage as well by 25% for 20 counts. Like, and he himself is solid. And then I don't need to mention the 17 and 18. These are two of the best EX characters in the game. They're very good. So there you go, guys. There's a lot of different options. Again, there are so many ways you can do this. So many good colors that are going to have color-based teams that I mentioned as well, like this guy, double boosting blue. Blue has access to a lot of very viable options as well in this pool of characters. So don't sleep on any of that. And regen is in here a little bit, I'd say. You know, Evil Boo is a thing. I'm not sleeping on him. I know he's here. You do have Evil Boo. You have some of these other regen-based characters that'll be viable too. So anyway, stay tuned, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, make sure you hit that subscribe, and I'll catch all of you guys in the next one.